The sledgehammer goes through the wall on the third swing. Elijah Carter is not looking for anything. He is tearing this house down for $200 a day. His grandfather's house, condemned, scheduled for demolition in 6 days. Then something falls out of the wall, a book wrapped in oilcloth, heavy as a brick. He opens it, and the first page makes his hands shake because the man his family buried as a poor janitor had been keeping score his entire life. 3 days earlier, Elijah's life is collapsing in slow motion. Laid off in March, behind on rent since April. His bank balance is $43.17. He has counted it 4 times, hoping the number would change. Then his phone rings. A lawyer. His grandfather Theodore is dead, and he has left Elijah one thing: a house the city has already condemned. A house worth less than the cost of tearing it down. At least, that's what everyone believes. This is the inheritance. Rotting wood, broken windows, a demolition order taped to the door. The family calls it Theodore's shame. The old man worked 41 years as a school janitor and died, they say, with nothing. Elijah takes the demolition job himself. $200 a day to erase his own grandfather's life. But the house has been waiting for him. And inside its walls is a secret Theodore kept from every living soul, even his own children. Day 1, he strips the copper. Day 2, he pulls the floorboards. The deeper he goes, the stranger the house becomes. Reinforced door frames, a bedroom wall thicker than the blueprints say it should be. On day 3, his crowbar hits that wall, and the sound is wrong, hollow, deliberate, built to hide something. He swings the sledgehammer, and you already know what falls out, but what you don't know yet is what's written inside. The first entry is dated March 1958, $12. The last is dated 1994. The numbers in between stop making sense. Land parcels, stock purchases, account numbers from banks in 3 different states, page after page written in his grandfather's careful hand, and on the inside cover, one instruction: read everything before you speak to anyone. A janitor's salary built this? Impossible. Unless everything the family believed about Theodore Carter was a lie he told on purpose. He doesn't go home. He sits in his car until 3 a.m. reading by the dome light. The ledger isn't just numbers, it's a system. Every purchase coded, every document's hiding place recorded. Theodore didn't just save money, he documented everything, like a man preparing evidence for a trial that never came. Tucked into the spine, Elijah finds the first proof: a deed, 11 acres, purchased 1963, never sold. Tomorrow he will walk into the county records office and ask one question. The answer will make a clerk go silent and call her supervisor. The clerk types the parcel number once, then again, and she stops typing. The land is real. 11 acres on the edge of town. Land that developers have been circling for a decade. Title never transferred. Never sold. Still legally in his grandfather's name. And here is the part that should disturb you. This is not rare. Right now, American state treasuries are sitting on tens of billions of dollars in unclaimed property. Forgotten accounts. Uncashed checks. Deeds just like this one. Money with names on it. Names of families who have no idea it exists. Elijah's hands are shaking again, because the deed is entry number 7 in the ledger. There are 43 entries. For the next 2 weeks, Elijah stops demolishing the house and starts decoding his grandfather. Entry 12, a safe deposit box, 2 towns over. The key, taped inside the ledger's back cover. Entry 19, stock purchased in 1971 through a company that still exists. Entry 26, a savings account, dormant since 1989, quietly compounding. Theodore hadn't been hiding money. He'd been building a machine and writing down every bolt. But entry 43 is different. It isn't an asset, it's a name, a man's name, crossed out, and next to it, one word in capital letters: never. To understand why a man hides a fortune inside a wall, you have to understand what he watched happen to everyone who didn't. Theodore is 11 years old when the banks collapse. During the Great Depression, around 9,000 American banks fail. Millions of families lose everything, not because they spent it, but because they trusted someone else to hold it. And he watches it happen again, slower. Neighbors lose family land at courthouse auctions over missing paperwork, unclear titles, taxes nobody told them were due. Historians would later document millions of acres lost this way across the 20th century. So Theodore makes a rule that will define his entire life. Look poor, own quietly, and write everything down. The crossed out name in entry 43? That was the one time he broke his own rule, and it nearly cost him everything. In a basement archive, Elijah finds the court file from 1979, and finally the crossed out name has a story, a business partner, a handshake deal on a commercial property, no written agreement, the only entry in 40 years without one. The partner forged the ownership papers, took the building, took 4 years of Theodore's savings with it. The court believed the man with documents. Theodore had none. He never sued again. He never trusted again. He went home, crossed out the name, and wrote one word: never. From that day, the ledger wasn't a habit, it was armor. And now you understand why he wrote those words inside the cover. Read everything before you speak to anyone. 3 weeks later, a probate lawyer slides a legal pad across the table. On it, the verified number. We are not going to show it to you, because the number is not the point. The point is how it grew. Stock bought in 1971 and never sold. Dividends reinvested for 50 years. This is not fantasy. It has happened in real life, in public record. A secretary named Grace Groner bought 3 shares of Abbott Laboratories in 1935 for about $180. She never sold. When she died in 2010, those 3 shares had become roughly $7 million. Time did the work. The ledger just made sure nobody forgot where the work was happening. Elijah stares at the pad. Then he asks the lawyer the question that matters most. Why didn't he just tell us? Her answer is the hardest line in this story. He tried to tell you, she says. Once. 1994. The year of the final entry. Theodore gathers the family and starts to explain. Accounts, land, a plan. They laugh. A janitor talking about stocks. Somebody calls it senile rambling. The room moves on, so he stops talking. He goes home. He opens the bedroom wall, places the ledger inside, and seals it with his own hands. His last bet wasn't on a stock, it was on a person. Whoever cared enough to take this house apart piece by piece, instead of letting strangers bulldoze it, would be the one who deserved to find it. The demolition was scheduled for 6 days after Elijah started. He found the wall on day 3. Elijah doesn't lead with the number. He learned from the man who raised the number. He places the ledger on the family table and repeats the words from the inside cover. Read everything before you speak. One by one, they read. The aunt who laughed in 1994 reads the longest. When she reaches the final pages, she covers her mouth because the last entries aren't assets. They're instructions, education funds, rules for keeping the land, a warning to never sell under pressure. Theodore's fortune survived 30 years inside a wall. The harder question is the one this channel exists to ask. Would it have survived 30 years inside this family? That depends on a principle most people learn too late. Here is the lesson, and it is not save money. Wealth is not just what you own. Wealth is what your family can find, prove, and protect after you are gone. Assets without records are rumors. Records without heirs who understand them are archaeology. The research is brutal. A widely cited study by the Williams Group found that roughly 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation, 90% by the third. Not because the money is stolen, but because knowledge isn't transferred. The communication fails before the capital does, and the forgotten wealth is real. State treasuries hold tens of billions in unclaimed property right now. Somewhere in that number are names that sound like yours. So the principle is this: the greatest assets are rarely lost. They are forgotten. Wealth favors the families who preserve three things: records, knowledge, and ownership across generations. Theodore mastered the first and the third. He almost died failing at the second. Now make this story yours. Tonight, if you can. 1. Build your own ledger. One document, every account, every asset, every policy, every debt, and where the proof lives. Theodore needed 40 years and a wall. You need an evening and a notebook. 2. Name your reader. A ledger nobody knows about is a ledger that dies with you. Tell one person you trust that it exists and where it is. Not the contents, the existence. 3. Transfer the knowledge, not just the assets. Teach the why behind every holding, because the study is clear. Families don't lose fortunes to markets. They lose them to silence. And 4. Go look for what your family may have already forgotten. Old deeds, dormant accounts, unclaimed property registers are public and free to search. Somewhere a clerk may go silent when you say your grandfather's name. 1 year later, the demolition order is a piece of paper in a frame. The house Theodore hid his life inside is being rebuilt with the money he hid inside it. The 11 acres were never sold, exactly as the final pages instructed. They were leased. The income pays for 2 things: the restoration and an education fund with 7 names on it. In the back bedroom, the hole in the wall is still there. Elijah framed it in glass. Inside it, the ledger sits open to 1 page, the inscription. Read everything before you speak to anyone. A man spent his whole life being underestimated. It took 1 grandson, 1 sledgehammer, and 1 book to prove that the poorest looking man in the family had been the richest one all along. But here's the question you should be sitting with, the one Elijah still thinks about. Here's the question. Theodore's wealth survived because he wrote everything down. It was almost lost because he never said it out loud. So look at your own life, the things you own, the things you know, the things only you can find. If you disappeared tomorrow, would your family inherit your wealth or just your silence? Somewhere right now, there is a ledger nobody has opened, a deed in a drawer nobody checks, a name in an unclaimed property database that sounds exactly like yours. The fortune is rarely lost. It is forgotten. Don't let yours be either one. Subscribe. Your mind is about to be gilded. If this story moved something in you, the next one will go deeper. The man who memorized his entire fortune and took it to prison with him. Watch it now. And remember, write everything down.